so you guys know this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago the other night.
You have the truth and the facts. You don't need, you don't need anything else. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen all of that. If you have the truth and you don't believe the truth, I don't know what to tell you.
What do you miss most? How are his parents doing? Because his parents are private. We saw them for the first time at the funeral.
Yes. Charlie and my mom, well, Charlie's family's there. Everyone's hanging in there. We're doing the best to be expected. My mom and Charlie, they were best friends. I would always say that Charlie was her favorite child.
So a fresh batch of leaked emails and bank statements just surfaced in the Charlie Kirk investigation, and this time they're making everyone take a hard look at his parents. Speculation is spreading fast that according to these new records, Charlie's parents might have quietly accepted a huge payout linked to TPUSA funds, one that some believe may have been meant to keep them quiet. For months, people online have been asking why Charlie's parents haven't been speaking out or demanding justice for what happened to their son, and now this new information might explain it. Insiders claim these emails could reveal why the family stayed silent when the world expected outrage. The big question hanging in the air now is, did Charlie's parents really take money to stay quiet, or could this be covering up something even more disturbing? Charlie Kirk's parents went through a devastating tragedy when their son lost his life in broad daylight. People have been desperate to know how they're coping. But oddly, there's been nothing but silence. At first, many assumed they were just grieving privately, trying to protect what little peace they had left. But everything shifted once whispers began that TPUSA might be quietly moving funds to hide key details connected to what really happened to Charlie. The person who first dropped this shocking update was none other than Candace Owens. She came forward claiming that TPUSA had been hiding the truth about Charlie's passing since day one, manipulating details, shaping the narrative, and shutting down anyone who dared to ask real questions. According to her, it made no sense how desperate the organization seemed to sweep everything under the rug and push the idea that Charlie's case was just the work of one random person. But the facts?
Doesn't anybody know anything about Charlie Kirk's parents? I just saw a video about this, and it had literally never occurred to me that no one is talking about. We have not heard from or seen footage of anybody other.
They told a very different story. Still, instead of listening, everyone turned on her. Critics accused Candace of using Charlie's tragedy to boost her own platform, and TPUSA fired back with a public statement calling her claims false and demanding she show proof for every accusation. It was pure chaos online, a mix of disbelief, anger, and confusion. But then came the twist no one expected. A supposed whistleblower stepped forward. This individual began spreading word that Candace had actually been telling the truth the whole time, backing her claims about deleted files, missing evidence, and behind-the-scenes manipulation. That alone was enough to shake things up, but when Charlie's parents' names got pulled into the mix, everything exploded. According to these reports, they allegedly weren't just aware of what was going on, they might have benefited from it, possibly through a large settlement tied to TPUSA. The internet went wild after that. Suddenly, the family's long silence, their calm attitude, and their refusal to engage all started to look suspicious to people online. And as digital detectives followed the trail, every clue seemed to lead straight back to one place: TPUSA and Charlie's family. TPUSA didn't waste any time turning tragedy into business. And that's exactly what's making people furious. Ever since Charlie's passing, the organization has reportedly made a fortune selling Charlie-themed merch. But what shocked everyone wasn't the idea of honoring him. It was how fast they started profiting from it. Literally just one day after Charlie was gone, TPUSA's website already featured a shirt showing a black and white image of him raising his fist with the words, "Here I am, Lord, send me Isaiah 6:8.
Call him fam, you can't critique him, right? Oh, I'm sorry. We actually are showing a clip of Rob McCoy defending, trying to launder the reputation of, that's fam. That's the CK show fam. Oh, I'm sorry. We are actually pointing to the fact that we know for certain that this person or organization is deviant.
Fans couldn't believe it. Within a single week, 5 more shirts popped up online. One red design reading, "Well done, good and faithful servant," with Charlie's birth and passing years printed underneath, and another showing him tossing red hats with the phrase, "This is our turning point." But the one that really set people off? A shirt with Charlie, his family, and a glowing halo above his head captioned, "Never surrender." That's when outrage exploded. Many fans saw it as a staged attempt to cash in on grief while blending faith, profit, and personal pain. And they weren't having it. Social media comments poured in like wildfire, with one post summing it up perfectly. He's not even laid to rest yet, and they're already selling entire collections in his name. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Yet, despite all the outrage, reports claim the sales never slowed down. In fact, insiders say TPUSA's Charlie-themed merchandise has now brought in close to $100 million, a staggering number that's left many people questioning where all that money really went. What's even wilder is what insiders are now claiming that money was actually used for, and it's sending chills through the internet. Allegedly, a massive portion of the profits from all that Charlie-themed merch wasn't just sitting in an account somewhere, it was being used to quietly pay off certain key people to make sure crucial details about Charlie's case never saw the light of day. Those details, if exposed, could completely change what the public believes about how and why everything happened. And here's the jaw-droppers. Reports suggest that Charlie's own parents may have received around $15 million from that very same payout. While none of this has been officially confirmed, people can't help but notice how the family and several TPUSA insiders have been acting lately.
Doesn't go, hey, maybe we should strike that. They made $40 million like 2 nights ago at Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that feels kind of a little bit like let them eat cake-ish. Oh, and we've made more than, separately from Mar-a-Lago, Turning Point USA, since Charlie was killed, just so you guys know this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago the other night. So since Charlie has died, that organization has taken in $140 million.
Which only makes the whispers feel even more believable. After those leaked emails and bank records hit the internet, TPUSA reportedly went into full panic mode, rushing to come up with some kind of explanation for everything. They tried to justify why they moved so aggressively to monetize Charlie's name before he was even laid to rest, claiming it was due to the overwhelming support for Charlie and his mission. But fans weren't buying it. Sure, people supported Charlie, no one denied that. But supporters online questioned why the rush to raise money so fast when the organization already had access to plenty of wealthy backers. Why couldn't they show just a little patience and respect before turning grief into a money-making frenzy? The moment those leaks went public, chaos erupted behind closed doors. Reports say calls were made in a panic, meetings were canceled without warning, and insiders started quietly deleting old messages and files connected to the timeline of Charlie's last months alive. Suddenly, everyone who'd once proudly called Charlie their brother in the fight was either silent or trying to rewrite their version of events. The shift in tone was loud and obvious. According to multiple anonymous sources close to the situation, what's happening now looks like a full-blown internal scramble. They say that within 48 hours of the leaks, lawyers representing TPUSA executives began sending private cease and desist letters to former employees, warning them not to speak to journalists or post anything online that could damage the organization's image. That alone raised major eyebrows. Why would a group claiming to stand for truth be so afraid of its own paper trail? But here's where things take an even stranger twist. Around the same time, several online sleuths noticed that one of the organization's major financial donors had quietly pulled out.
Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Removing their name from TPUSA's official website and deleting years' worth of public statements about funding Charlie's legacy projects. That move didn't go unnoticed. It sent shockwaves through the conservative community. Some fans started wondering if the donor had seen something behind the scenes that made them distance themselves before it all blew up. Then there's the eerie silence from the people who used to post about Charlie every single day. Influencers, colleagues, and even former friends suddenly stopped mentioning him altogether. For months, Charlie had been the face of a movement. Now his image was being carefully erased from every event flyer, fundraising campaign, and official statement. One insider described it perfectly, saying, "It's like they're trying to pretend he never existed." Meanwhile, social media detectives began piecing together what they believed were missing links in the puzzle. Unexplained transfers, shell companies tied to consulting firms, and even short-lived accounts created right after Charlie's passing. While none of these findings have been officially verified, the timing looked suspicious enough that even neutral observers started asking questions. And those questions are only getting louder. At the center of it all sits Erika, Charlie's widow, who's now facing a different kind of heat. People online claim her tone changed drastically after the leaks, going from emotional tributes to carefully worded statements that sound almost corporate. Some believe she's trying to protect herself, while others think she's under pressure not to reveal too much. In one of her recent appearances, Erika seemed visibly uncomfortable when asked about the merch profits, giving a vague answer about continuing Charlie's mission. But fans didn't miss the shift, and the comment sections lit up instantly. "Why can't she just say where the money went?" one user asked. "If everything's legit, why so many secrets?" another added. The conversation spread fast across Reddit and YouTube, with people analyzing every clip, every hand movement, and every facial expression. Some even claimed her new jewelry choices and designer outfits were signs that she'd come into serious money recently, though others argued it was just grief spending. Still, in the world of the internet, perception often matters more than proof. And that's where things get dangerous. Once people online decide something looks shady, it's nearly impossible to undo that perception. Right now, the internet believes there's more to the story than anyone is admitting, and they're not backing down until the truth comes out. Whole threads have been dedicated to breaking down the timeline of events, comparing official statements to leaked documents, and mapping out connections between key players who were close to Charlie in his final weeks. The craziest part? Each time someone tries to dismiss these theories, another piece of information drops that makes them harder to ignore. Just last week, screenshots surfaced showing what looked like internal Slack messages from a staff group discussing public perception management and narrative control regarding Charlie's case. While authenticity hasn't been confirmed, the tone of those alleged messages sent everyone spiraling again. One line that stood out read, "We need to control how this looks before it gets worse." That alone was enough to restart the firestorm. Behind the scenes, reporters are said to be digging deeper too. A few independent journalists have begun cross-referencing financial records with public donation filings, trying to figure out exactly how the merchandise profits were distributed and whether any of it made its way into private accounts. Some documents appear to show overlapping transfers between campaign-linked organizations and the same consulting firms that allegedly handled memorial expenses. And then there's the emotional toll. For the people who truly cared about Charlie, all this noise feels like a second loss. They say it's painful to watch what was once a movement of passion and belief turn into a maze of money trails and finger pointing. One former volunteer reportedly told a friend, "We used to believe in something real. Now it's all damage control." That sentiment is echoing across online spaces. People feel betrayed, like the cause they once supported has been replaced with cold calculation. In the middle of it all, Charlie's parents remain quiet. Too quiet. They haven't addressed the rumors, the alleged payout, or the leaks. That silence, which once seemed like grief, now feels strategic to many. People are questioning whether their silence is protecting their privacy or protecting someone else entirely. The tension around them keeps growing, and every day that passes without a statement makes the internet's curiosity even stronger. What's clear is that this situation has spiraled far beyond one family's tragedy. It's now about power, money, and the image of an entire organization. And as more receipts keep surfacing, one thing feels certain: the truth, whatever it is, won't stay hidden forever. People are watching closely, dissecting every move, and waiting for the next leak that could finally blow this wide open. The fallout from those leaks hasn't cooled off one bit. It's actually spiraling into something even bigger. What started as a few shady emails and suspicious bank transfers has exploded into a full-blown scandal, and now insiders say the tension inside TPUSA is unbearable. The walls are closing in, and everyone's trying to figure out who's talking, who's leaking, and who's next to get exposed. Behind the scenes, employees are reportedly walking on eggshells. Meetings that used to be casual and friendly now feel like interrogations. Some workers have even started covering their laptop cameras or using burner phones to communicate with colleagues they trust. According to one insider, it's gotten so paranoid that people are scared to even whisper Charlie's name in the office. It's like saying his name out loud might trigger something, they said. At the same time, the online investigations are getting sharper. Internet sleuths have been tracking patterns in the financial records and connecting dots between TPUSA's donation accounts, merch revenue, and political fund transfers. None of this is officially confirmed, but the timing of certain transactions looks way too convenient. The theory going around now is that some of that money, possibly from Charlie-themed merch sales, ended up redirected into accounts managed by private consulting firms. And those firms, they reportedly have no public projects or history before Charlie Charlie's passing. What's even wilder is how quickly some of these companies disappeared once people started asking questions. Within days of the leaks hitting Reddit and X, at least 3 of the listed business names linked to the alleged shell companies were suddenly dissolved or had their websites wiped clean. The speed of those deletions just added fuel to the fire. Like, if everything's innocent, why erase it so fast? Meanwhile, Charlie's parents' silence continues to cast a heavy shadow over the entire story. For months, people sympathized with them, assuming they were too heartbroken to speak. But now, as the money rumors swirl, that silence feels more calculated than emotional. Many online users are convinced that their lack of response isn't about privacy, it's about protection. But protection from what? Or from who? The situation around Erika is just as strange. She's completely stepped away from interviews and public appearances, which only deepened the mystery. Her old social media pages, once full of photos and videos of her and Charlie, are now mostly scrubbed. Fans noticed her profile pictures changed from warm family images to dark, minimalist placeholders. People can't help but read that as a sign she's distancing herself from whatever's coming next. Some believe she's been advised to stay quiet, that speaking up could make her a target in whatever legal chaos might be brewing behind the scenes. Even inside the movement, whispers are growing louder. Longtime supporters are allegedly clashing over whether TPUSA should come clean before things get worse. Some are urging leadership to release a full statement with financial transparency, while others insist it would destroy the brand. But at this point, silence might be doing even more damage than the truth ever could. And then there's the talk of the missing folder and the digital ghost haunting the whole situation. Multiple sources have hinted that there's still an unreleased portion of data from the leak, a section that could reveal private communications between key figures about reputation management. Whether it actually exists or not, the rumor alone has created chaos. It's become the internet's holy grail, the piece that could finally tie everything together. Forums, group chats, and entire Discord servers are now dedicated to finding it. One user even claimed to have a screenshot of the folder name on an internal system, though no one's verified it yet. As pressure mounts, several TPUSA officials have quietly gone off the radar. Some deleted their accounts, others set them to private. People have noticed that the official social media pages for the organization have also slowed down, posting vague, positive messages about unity and faith instead of their usual fiery rhetoric. That sudden calm, it's eerie. It feels like the calm before a storm. Reporters are circling too. Independent journalists are said to be digging through old financial disclosures, hunting for inconsistencies in charity filings, and comparing those to the timing of Charlie-related fundraisers. So far, no one's been able to produce the full picture, but there's a growing sense that the puzzle pieces are starting to align. One journalist hinted that what's coming next will make people question everything they thought they knew about TPUSA's internal world. Meanwhile, ordinary people who once admired the movement are starting to turn skeptical. On social media, hashtags that used to praise Charlie's legacy have transformed into threads demanding accountability. Some of his supporters feel betrayed, saying that the movement has lost sight of its values, turning something that was once about purpose into a cycle of silence, money, and control. Others still hold out hope, hoping maybe there's an innocent explanation behind the chaos, but that hope is fading fast. The more people look into it, the stranger it gets. Some believe that the same people who helped shape Charlie's public image are now controlling the narrative of his legacy, filtering what the public sees, what questions get answered, and what names are kept out of the headlines. A few even think this might be why no official investigation updates have surfaced for months, like someone's quietly making sure nothing new comes to light. Whatever's going on, it's bigger than anyone expected. The situation has shifted from gossip to something that feels like a ticking time bomb. Everyone involved is either deleting, denying, or disappearing, and the internet isn't letting go. The leaks opened a door that can't be closed, and people are convinced that what's hiding behind it could shake the entire foundation of the movement. And now, with insiders hinting that another round of documents might drop soon, the question isn't if there's more to come, it's when. Because one thing's clear, this story is still unfolding, and the next chapter might expose the one truth everyone's been trying to bury. TPUSA has conveniently refused to share any real breakdown of how that massive sum of money was spent. No receipts, no official report, nothing. People demanded to know who got paid, how much, and why, but all they got in return was silence. And that silence spoke volumes. The deeper people looked, the more suspicious it seemed, especially when Erika's name started popping up in the same conversations about money transfers and fund management. It all started making sense when people remembered that GoFundMe she launched right after Charlie's passing. Back then, it seemed strange, emotional, maybe, but oddly timed. Millions poured in from supporters, friends, and fans wanting to honor Charlie's legacy. But once the leaked records began showing strange overlaps between donation accounts and personal transfers, people started wondering if that GoFundMe was more than just a memorial fund. Some now believe it might have been a cover for redirecting money, possibly to Charlie's parents or other insiders. And when those connections started aligning, the idea of a cover-up no longer felt like a stretch. It felt almost obvious. Then came the moment everything went quiet. The second the family sensed the internet getting too close to the truth, they shut down. His parents erased their social media accounts overnight, gone without a trace. Meanwhile, Charlie's sister kept posting as if nothing had happened, almost like nothing around her had changed. To many fans, that calm indifference looked unnatural, even calculated. Charlie's family had always been private, sure, but this was different. People expected them to demand answers, not vanish into thin air. With all the contradictions in the official reports about how Charlie lost his life, silence from his closest relatives felt impossible to justify, and so the theory started spreading. Maybe they already knew the truth, or maybe they had a reason not to ask too many questions. But Erika, she didn't just disappear, she fought back. Instead of taking a break from the spotlight, she went on the offensive. In a recent interview, she drew a clear line between herself and everyone demanding answers. She practically labeled anyone who questioned her or the organization as her enemy. That word hit hard, and the way she said it was even harder. And when a journalist brought up Candace Owens' ongoing calls for justice, her public push to get the truth out, Erika's face completely changed. She shot a cold, intense glare into the camera and said just one word: stop. But the way she said it didn't sound like a plea. It sounded like a warning. The internet caught that moment immediately, clipping and reposting it everywhere. Within hours, her clip was trending, and thousands of people were asking the same thing. Who exactly was she trying to stop? Then there's TPUSA itself. Their response, or lack thereof, has only made everything worse. While outrage flooded social media, the organization acted like nothing had happened. No clarification, no statement, nothing. They just kept pushing out new batches of Charlie-themed merch as if the controversy didn't exist. It was business as usual, but that made it even more infuriating. When the Charlie Kirk show host Blake Neff finally addressed the situation, fans thought they might finally get some clarity. Instead, he went after Candace Owens. He accused her of spreading baseless conspiracies and challenged her to a live stream debate to set the record straight. But the public wasn't fooled for a second. They called it out immediately as a classic distraction move. Instead of talking about the money, the leaks, or the silence, TPUSA turned it into a feud. That's when people realized they were never planning to explain anything. The more they deflect, the deeper the mystery grows. As it stands, no court has ruled on these claims. No official investigation has publicly confirmed the authenticity of the leaked emails. And no one from TPUSA has stepped forward to walk people through where the money really went. Everything is hidden behind a thick curtain of legal statements and no comments. But here's what is real: the silence, the refusal to clarify even the simplest questions, the decision to monetize grief instead of showing transparency, the absence of compassion when the world needed answers the most. These actions, or rather these non-actions, have made people lose faith in the movement's so-called values. For a group built on slogans about truth and accountability, this kind of secrecy feels like betrayal. Their unwillingness to open up about the money trail, the timeline, or even basic communication has created a vacuum, and that vacuum is now filled with doubt, speculation, and distrust. The story that once inspired hope is now clouded by uncertainty and suspicion. And that's the real tragedy here. It's not just about Charlie anymore. It's about what happens when an entire movement forgets the principles it claimed to stand for. Every day they stay silent, the story only grows darker and the truth drifts further away. But this investigation isn't over, not by a long shot. There are still too many unanswered questions, too many gaps in the timeline, and too many people who suddenly have too much to lose if the full truth comes out. The internet isn't done digging, and every clue keeps leading back to the same names, the same circles, and the same money trail. So what happens next? That's what everyone's waiting to see. Will someone finally come forward with the missing proof? Will TPUSA try to spin this again, or will they finally break their silence? Because at this point, silence isn't protection, it's confession without words. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video to keep this story alive. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think really happened? Until the next one, stay tuned because the truth might be closer than they think.